Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are having a great day. I have our new read aloud, Red, and this is the third series of the Rump and Jack books that we've been reading. Chapter 1 is called Magical Mistakes. The first time I tried my hand at magic, I grew roses out of my nose. This was not my intention. I meant to grow flowers out of the ground, like any normal person would. But I'd never been normal, and magic is unpredictable, finicky, and dangerous, especially in the wrong hands. Granny taught me magic from the cradle. Some grandmothers showered their grandbabies with cuddles and kisses and gumdrops. I got enchantments and spells and potions. Granny knows spells to conjure rain and wind, charms to make things grow or shrink, and enchantments of disguise and trickery. She could brew potions to clear your mind or clear your stuffy nose. She had elixirs for toothaches, bellyaches, heartaches, and a special balm for bottom itch. There was no end to the wonders of magic. There was no end to troubles either. When I was 5 years old, I wanted to grow red roses for Granny's birthday. Roses because her name was Rose, and red because my name was Red. They would be the perfect gift, I thought. I knew I could do it. I had seen Granny grow fat orange pumpkins and juicy red berries straight out of the ground, with just a wave of her hand and a few words. I chose my own words with care. Red rose charm. Sprout and blossom, red, red rose. Let your fragrance fill my nose. I felt the tingle of the magic in my fingertips. I gave a flourish of an arm and a flick of the hand just as Granny did, but nothing happened. I tried again. I spoke louder, flourished grander, and a red rose exploded out of my right nostril. I tried to grab the rose off, but the only made me sneeze, and another shot right out of the left nostril. Granny could not stop laughing. She even may have cackled. "Granny, do something," I sobbed through the roses. I expected her to wave her hands and make them disappear. Instead, she ripped them right out of my nose. "Ouch!" I screamed. "Thank you for the roses," said Granny, placing them in a vase on her table. "We'll call them booger blossoms." "Achoo!" I replied. Granny laughed for a full 5 minutes. I sneezed for 5 hours. I'll admit, it was sort of funny, even if it did hurt worse than pixie bites. But I'm worried that this might be an omen, that the magic was somehow wrong inside of me. After the booger blossoms, I decided to stick to practical magic, such as a drying spell. I seen Granny do this countless times, just a snap of her fingers, and she'd have dripping laundry dry in minutes. But when I snapped my fingers, no wind came, just fire. Yes, fire and flames. Flaming skirts and blouses and undergarments, in less than a minute, they were cinders and ash. "Well, they're certainly dry," said Granny. "When I was 6, I had a friend named Gertie. We were only allowed to play at her house because of constant supervision from her mother, Helga. Helga was always worried. She worried Gertie would fall in the well or off a cliff. She worried Gertie would choke on her morning mush. She worried trolls would come into the night and carry Gertie away with their supper. This worrying became problematic, and when I wanted to take Gertie into the woods to play, we were worried her mom would say no. "Mother says I'll be eaten by wolves," Gertie said. "You won't. I won't even be eaten by wolves. I play in the woods all the time." "Don't you ever get lost? Mother's always worried I'm going to lose my way." "I've never been lost. I have a magic path." Gertie's eyes got big as apples. Magic was rare, and my path was something special. It only appeared when I wanted it to, and it would lead me wherever I wanted to go in the woods. Suddenly, this would entice Gertie to come with me, but it didn't. She stepped away, and her eyes grew wary. "Mother says magic is dangerous." "My path isn't dangerous," I said in indignation. "Granny made it for me to keep safe. She made it grow right out of the ground after a bear attacked me, and I almost died." I thought this would impress her. The possibility of death was always exciting. Maybe able to defy it with magic even better. "Mother says your Granny's a witch," said Gertie. Of course Granny was a witch. I knew that, but Gertie said it like it was a bad thing. Desperation took a hold of me. I really wanted to play with Gertie in the woods, so I did the only sensible thing. I could think of. I cast the worrywart spell on Gertie's mother. Worrywart spell. Worry is a wart upon your chin. It spreads and grows from deep within. Make the wart shrink day by day. Send your worries far away. Unfortunately, the spell did not do anything to cure Helga's worries. Instead, she grew a wart on her chin. The wart grew bigger day by day until Granny was summoned to remedy my mistake. Needless to say, I wasn't allowed to play with Gertie anymore, or anyone else for that matter. Helga was also the village gossip. The news spread all over the mountain. She's a witch, Helga would tell the villagers, just like her grandmother. She seemed to forget that Granny, who was the one who cured her. Gertie stopped talking to me, and no one else would even look at me. The magic in me grew hot and sticky. It coated my throat, and it stung my eyes. I wish I could swallow it down and make it disappear. Don't worry, Red, Granny told me. We all make mistakes. When I was your age, I tried to summon a rabbit to be my pet, and instead I called a bear to the front door. No, I cried. How did you survive? The bear was actually quite nice. My mother married him. She married a bear? Oh, don't be ridiculous. He wasn't really a bear. He was a prince under a spell. This did nothing to alleviate my concerns. I didn't want to marry a bear or a prince. All of this magic I do is bad, I said. Nonsense, child. They're only mistakes. It takes 100 miles of mistakes before you arrive at your own true magic. But what if my mistakes are too big? No such thing, dear, said Granny. But she was wrong. I went on trying spells and charms and potions, and I went on making mistakes. Big ones, small ones, deadly ones. My last mistake was worse than warts, fires, or roses on my nose. I was 7 years old, and Granny and I were in the woods. It was early spring, so the trees were budding. Granny thought I could help them grow. Root in earth, sprout above ground, swell in the sun, and spread all around. What if I burned down the woods, I said, trembling. Fire seemed to be the only magic I had a knack for. Don't be afraid, Red, Granny said. She pointed to a tree branch above us, a large one that dipped low underneath, that I could see the little branches and buds shooting out of it. Focus on the branch. Feel its energy, the energy inside you. They're connected. See if you can make the leaves grow. Growing's the best kind of magic. Yes, I would love it when Granny made things grow. She could grow juicy strawberries and fat pumpkins, spicy herbs, and fragrant blossoms. Roses. Granny was particularly good with roses. I focused on the magic inside me. I felt it swirling in my belly like a bubbling pot of soup ready to spill over. I felt it flow through my arms into the edge of my fingers, and then I felt the magic pour out of me and flow toward the tree. The buds on the branch swelled and started to unfurl. Nothing exploded. Nothing caught fire. I am doing it, I cried. Good, keep going, said Granny. Buds kept swelling, leaves unfurling until the branch was full of green and pink, and then the branch itself started to grow, thicker and longer. Slow it down, said Granny. Pull that magic back. But I couldn't. The magic bubbled and spilled out of me faster than I could control it. The branch swelled and extended, too big and heavy for the tree. It sagged and it creaked. Everything happened at once. The branch snapped. Granny pushed me out of the way as I tumbled to the ground. So did the branch. There was a scream and a crash, and when I looked up, Granny was on the ground, trapped underneath the branch. Her eyes closed and she was still. Granny! I raced to her. I shook her shoulder, but she didn't wake. There was blood on her face. A trickle of red seeped in the lines of her cheek. My heart pounded. I tried to pull the branch off of her, but it was too big, and I was too small. I ran out of the woods, tears blurring my vision so I could see my path. When I reached home, I burst through the door sobbing. She's dead! I killed her! I killed Granny! Papa ran into the woods, and Mama held me in her arms as I curled into a ball, trembled like a sapling in a thunderstorm. I cried, and in my mind I could see Granny, eyes closed, still as stone, and then blood on her face, bright red. It was a message. You did this, Red. You killed your Granny. Mama could not calm me. When Papa returned, he got down low and whispered, She's all right, Red. Just a few scratches and a hurt foot. She's just fine. I started crying anew, flooded with relief and sorrow. She was alive, but I still hurt her. It was my fault. Granny's foot never quite healed after that. She had to use a crane and hobble like an old lady, like a witch. I hated to see it, but it reminded me every day of what I had done, what I was. Granny may have been a witch, but she was a good witch. Her magic made things live and grow. My magic made them bleed and die. It didn't matter if this was mile 99 or 100 miles of mistakes. I couldn't journey one step further. I would never do magic again. And that takes us to the next chapter, which we'll read tomorrow. I hope you guys have a good day.